Welcome back to Mac Talks Football, and it's that time of the weekend again where we sit here and we try to make our predictions for the weekend's game. I'm gonna make my prediction in this video in the Serie A for match day 9. Last weekend it was a disaster for me. I just got 8 points out of a possible 30, so it was a really bad performance. I hope that I can do a better this weekend and not become not be as bad as the last week. The game is very simple: 3 points if the entire prediction is correct. 2 points if the prediction is correct, but the score is not correct. So we'll see how many points I am able to correct at the end of the weekend. So you guys can go ahead and play with me, make your predictions in the comment section below, and we'll see who had a better predictions, I or you guys. So let's get started. The first game on the Friday night. This week we have games on Friday night as well, so it will be quite interesting to see how things shape up. The first game, as I said, it is Udinese versus Cagliari. It is 8th versus 15th. Now Udinese, they have lost 2 out of their last 3 games. They lost last week as well against a Milan side who are down to 10 men, but Udinese for majority of the game, but Udinese were not really able to take advantage of that and get anything out of that game. So they would hope that they can turn things around in this game, but they are playing against a Cagliari side who are in a good form recently. Their last 3 games, they have got a possible 7 out of their 9 points, 2 wins and a draw. They started the season bad, but the last 3 games have been really good. They defeated Torino 3-2 last weekend. It was a really good performance by Cagliari, so they would be on a real high. Coming to Udinese, I think it will be a close game, and I think it will be a tough game. You would expect Udinese to get the job done, to get the 3 points. They are 8, and they know they cannot really afford to drop any more points if they want to get into those European places. But with Cagliari being in such a good form, in such a good confidence, I do think that it might turn out to be a very close game, and I think it will end up being a draw. I think Udinese are going to drop points, and I think Cagliari are going to remain undefeated for another week. I think it will be a draw, and I think it will be a very low scoring draw. I'm going for a 1-all draw between Udinese and Cagliari. The next game is Torino versus Como. It is 8th versus 8th. The next game is Torino versus Como. It is 9th versus 14th. Now Torino, they have lost their last 3 games in a row. They lost to Cagliari, just like I just said, 3-2. It was a very close game, but Torino ended up losing that game. They are playing against a Como side who themselves had a draw last weekend against a Parma side. It was a very entertaining game, and I think Como would be disappointed that they really did not get any get a win in that game. But as I said, it was Parma were really good in that game. I think it will be a very interesting game. Torino are under a lot of pressure. Last 3 games have been a defeat, and they really need to get out of that rut and get some points on board. Como, they know that Torino are struggling, and they are there for the taking. And the players that Como have, they can really become a problem for Torino. But I just don't see it, if I'm being very honest with you. I think Torino might just have enough in them to get that win. I like Como because of Cesc, because I really want them to do good. I don't want them to get relegated or anything. So I have a soft spot for Como, but I think this game might be just too far for them. I think it will be a close game. It will be a tight game, but I think Torino will win it in the end. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Como. A 2-1 win for Torino. Moving on to the Saturday games, the first one is Napoli versus Lecce. It is 1st versus 19th. Napoli are in a really good form. They are playing really good football. Last week it was a bit troublesome for them against Empoli. They really had to dug deep and get those 3 points, but they did that. That's what's the most important things. They have won 4 out of their last 5 games, 3 wins in a row. They are playing against a Lecce side who are in a disastrous form. They have not won in their last 5 games, 3 defeats in a row, and they got humiliated and destroyed by Fiorentina last weekend, 6-0 defeat. They have the worst goal difference in the league as well, so they are in all sorts of trouble, and unfortunately for them, I think it is gonna continue. They are away to Napoli. They know who know that it is they are there for the taking. I think it is gonna be another bad day at the office for Lecce. I'm going for a 5-0 win for Napoli to extend their lead at the top of the table. The next game is Bologna versus Milan. It is 12th versus 4th. Now Bologna, they have become sort of the draw team of the Serie A. They have drawn 6 games, 4 more than any other team in the Serie A. So that just shows how bad the situation is. They are not really able to finish up those the games. They get on the lead. They score like last weekend as well. They score 2 goals, and it looked like they are gonna get the win. But then Genoa come up and they score 2 goals in the end, and it becomes another draw for Bologna. They are not really able to finish up the games. They have drawn 4 out of their last 5 games. They won one of those games, but they have been consistently drawing the games. They are playing against a Milan side who are in a really good form at the moment. They have won 4 out of their last 5 games. They won last weekend as well against Udinese. Despite being down to 10 men, they went ahead and they somehow defended their lead and they got the job done. So they would be really happy. They are coming away to Bologna, and they know Bologna are not in a good position at the moment. Their confidence is not that good, and Milan know how important this game is because Juve and Inter are playing both the teams above them. So in most all likely both of them are going to drop points, or at least one of them is going to drop points. And Milan are like, they know if they get their win this before the game starts between Inter and Juve, they are going to go second of on the table. So they know how important this game is, and I think with that going on at the back of their head, I think they are going to go ahead and they are going to win it. And I don't know, I think it is they are going to win it convincingly as well. I'm going for a 3-1 win for Milan. Moving on to the next game, it is Atalanta versus Verona. It is 6th versus 13th. Atalanta have been sort of inconsistent this season, but they have now sort of started, get in the form. They have won 3 out of their last 5 games. They are undefeated in their last 3 games. So it is now they're starting to build up momentum and start getting back into those in that upper half of the table. They are already 6th, and they know with the games that are going to happen all around them, there's a big chance they might end up in the Champions League places come at the end of the weekend. So they know how important this game is. Playing against a Verona side who are now really struggling. 4 defeats in their last 5 games. They lost to Monza last weekend, which nobody really saw it coming. I thought they were going to win that game, but they basically got destroyed in that game. 3-0 defeat at home against a Monza side who had not won a single game till now. So it was a bit disappointing, and unfortunately for them, I think it is going to continue as well. I don't see them winning this game. I think Atalanta are going to win it, and I think it will be an easy win for them. I'm going for a 2-0 win for Atalanta. The next game is Parma versus Empoli. Now both these teams are really struggling. It is the 17th versus 11th. Parma are winless in their last 5 games. Empoli have just won once in their last 5 games. So both of them don't really have the form coming into this game. But the thing is, both of them had really great performances in the last weekend. Parma, in my opinion, they had one of their best performances against Como in that game, and they would think that they should have won that game. The number of chances that they created, it ended up being a draw. Empoli, on the other hand, they went toe to toe with Napoli. They made it is so hard for Napoli to get that win. So they would come in this game with a bit of confidence. I think it will be a very tight game. I think it will be a very close game. But I just don't see any of them winning. I think it will end up in a draw, and I think it will be a high scoring draw. I am going for a 2-all draw between Parma and Empoli. The next game is Lazio versus Genoa. It is 7th versus 18th. And Lazio, they lost last weekend against Juventus, but I think they were quite unlucky. I mean, they were down to 10 men. They had to play for 10 men for more than an hour. So, and they defended really good. I think they unfortunately for them, they lost courtesy of an own goal. So that's always gonna sting you a bit after a performance like that. Playing against Genoa side who it looked like they were headed for another defeat. They defeat against Bologna, but they somehow through a miracle they got a win out of them, scoring 2 goals in the last 12 minutes, and they got that important point that they needed. They are 18. They are still struggling. They are they are winless in their last 5 games, 3 of them being defeats, and I think it is unfortunately for them. I think they are going to suffer another defeat. I just don't see them going at Lazio and getting anything out of that game. I think Lazio are going to return to winning ways this weekend, and I think it will not be a close game as well. I think it will be a very simple, very sophisticated, very classy 2-0 win for Lazio. The next game is a huge one. It is a Monza versus a Venezia. It is 16th versus a 22 teams who are really struggling. But Monza had not won as a game till now, until last weekend. They won that game against Empoli in against Verona. Sorry, in a convincing fashion. So they are gonna be high on confidence. They are gonna look at this game, and they're gonna think that this is the game where we can get another 3 points, and sort of make a distance between us and the relegation team, because right now they're just 3 points, not 3 points, they're just a point above the relegation zone based on goal difference. So they know how important this game is, playing against a Venezia side who themselves know that this game is very competitive. This is very important. These are the sort of games that you need to win if you want to, if you don't want to get relegated. And I think it will be a very tight game. But just the way that Monza played last weekend, I think being at home, being filled with that confidence, I think they are gonna edge it, and they are gonna nick it. I am going for a very close a 2-1 win for Monza. From a one big game at the bottom of the table now to the biggest game of the weekend in Serie A at the top of the table. It's Inter versus Juventus. It is second versus a third. I think it is going to be a very close game. Both these teams know how important this game is. By the time they played, Napoli would have already played, Milan would have already played, then Atalanta would have already played. So they would know a majority of the results of the team. They're all around them. So they would the pressure of that is going to be on them. And plus, it's such a big game. Two giants of Italian football going at it, and I think it will be a very close game. It is not going to be an explosive game filled with goals. I think it will be more like sort of a chess game, both managers trying to cancel each other out. But I think Inzaghi is gonna have the upper hand. I am not really impressed with Thiago Motta. I keep on saying that, and till now he has not really impressed me. The way that he sets up his team, the way that Juventus play, it is really hard for them to create, and it's really hard for them to score goals. And I think that is going to be the problem for them this season and in this game as well. I think Inter being at home as well, I think they are going to win it. They are in a very good form coming into this game. They won last weekend as well, so I think they are going to be filled with confidence, and I think they are going to get the job done. It is going to be very not that close. They lost the Milan derby, so they cannot afford to lose another big game. I think it is going to be a very easy win for them. It is going to be a 2-0 win for Inter Milan. And the last game of the weekend in Serie A is going to be Fiorentina versus Roma. It is 5th versus 10th. Fiorentina are in a great form. They started the season very slow, but they have really catch up. They have won 3 out of their last 4 games, including that demolition job for against Lecce last weekend, 6-0. It was an amazing win, and they're going to be high on confidence there. They're going to be on a different level coming into this game. They are playing against Roma side who unfortunately for them, they are not been they've not been really that good. They have been quite inconsistent. I said in my review video as well that they are good for a couple of weeks, and then they go ahead and they blow up, and that is the reason that why I think they are 10th in the table. I think it is going to be a very tight game. They lost last weekend as well, so they are going to be quite in a bad position coming into this game. But I think it will be a very interesting game. Both these teams like to go ahead and try to play counter-attacking football, so we can expect goals in this game. But I don't think we are going to see a winner out of it. I just don't know what it is. I don't see Fiorentina winning this game. I think they are going to play very good football, but I just think Roma are going to counter it with their good football as well. I think it will be a very high scoring game and a high scoring draw. I'm going for a 2-2 draw between Fiorentina and Roma. And with that, my predictions for Serie A match day 9 are complete. We are gonna see how many of them are correct and how many of them I mess up. Match day 8 was a disaster for me. I just got 8 points out of a possible 30. So I'm hoping to get a much better result this weekend. At least I want to get into double figures, because if not that, it is a really disaster. You guys can play ahead with me. The point system, as I said before, it's very simple. 3 points if the entire prediction is correct, 2 points if the prediction is correct but the score is not correct. So make your predictions, and we'll see how many of your predictions are correct and how many of mine are on point. Like the video, share it as well, click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 400 subscribers before the month of October ends. It is looking really hard at the moment, but we are trying like on 140 subscribers or to get in about 8 or 9 days. It's a big task, but we hope we are able to achieve it. So please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and help us out. Until next time, bye bye.